Okay, what is up, beautiful people? I've heard a lot of you are struggling with this homework, and so I just wanted to go through a few of these problems with you and help you out on the ones if you are struggling. So the very first thing this is labeled a base and exponents in this problem. Remember, your base is your big number. So in this case, your base is going to be this t, which means the exponent is the 5. And the way we say this is t to the power of 5, or t to the 5th power. Okay, this is a little throwback. It says label the slope and the y-intercept in this problem. So remember, m is your slope. M is always right next to your x. So in this case, your m is going to be -4, and your b, which is your y-intercept, is going to be 2. Okay, let's start by going through a few of these product rule ones. So product rule, remember, just means we're multiplying together. So in this case, I'm going to write this out. It's -3 times x squared, which is really x, times x, y to the power of 3, which is y, times y, times y, times 4, times x, and then y to the 0 power is just going to become 1. So anything to the 0 power is always going to be 1. Okay, so we're going to ignore that. So then we can just say, okay, what are my normal numbers? Well, your normal numbers are going to be -3 and 4. So -3 times 4 is -12, and then you have 3 x's, so we say x to the power of 3, y to the power of 3. Okay? Okay, one other tricky one that I'll go through with you on this one is going to be this one right here, and let me just show you why. I know that this negative is very confusing, but what you have to realize is this is just like a -1. So if I break this down, it's like -1 times x to the 4th times y to the 7th times 9 times x to the, give that a 1 power, y to the 13. What are your two normal numbers? They're actually 9 and -1. So you're just going to multiply that together to say -1 times 9 gives me -9, and then y'all can finish the rest of that one. Okay, let me go over two other ones with you guys. Let's look at this quotient rule one. So the first thing you should be thinking is, what are my normal numbers? Your normal numbers are 2 and 4. So I can actually reduce that by saying 2 divided by 4. That's going to reduce to 1/2. If I draw this out, I have 4 x's on top and 2 on bottom. So those are going to cancel. I actually have 2 x's left, and they're on top. So x squared. And then if I draw the rest of this out, I have 2 y's on top, 1 y on bottom, which means I have 1 y left on top. So this is one way you could write it. You could also just say x squared y all over 2. Okay? Alright, this one right here, one tricky thing is just make sure you do this whole top part and then you combine it with the bottom part, or do the actual quotient rule on it. Alright, let's do one product rule together. So the very first thing you should look at is, does every single base have an exponent? So this 3 needs an exponent 1 and this x needs an exponent 1. So when we have a number on the outside with parentheses, we're going to distribute that outside exponent. Okay, so this becomes 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 to the power of 3. 1 times 3 is 3, so x to the power of 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Y to the power of 6. 4 times 3 is 12. Z to the power of 12. And you're like, Miss Ed, how can I get this out of the calculator? Well, 3 to the 3rd power is really just 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27, but you could also just type that in. So it's 27, x to the power of 3, y to the power of 6, z to the power of 12. Okay, I think you can figure out these two on your own. Let's look at the back. There's just 2 little hints I want to give you here. This one, there's no equal sign, so we're not actually solving. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to put a -1 right here and distribute out that -1. So this 3 is not what we're distributing. We're going to bring down the 3. Then you have -1 times x, which is -1x, and -1 times 3, which is -3. And then you'll just distribute the 2 and combine your like terms. I'm confident y'all can figure that out. This is asking for slope. I know it's been a while since we've done slope, so my friendly reminder to you is to draw your arrows and to find me your delta y, or your change in y, over the change in x. Okay? And very lastly, I think the rest of these y'all can figure out. Remember on this one right here, if you're looking at this one, this is really like -1. And then where are your solutions? Your solutions are where we cross the x-axis. So if I'm thinking about a quadratic function, this is what those look like, right, with the parabolas. How can I draw one of those that has 2 solutions? Okay. If Feel free to come to me if y'all have any questions, but good luck, and remember this is due on Friday, 2/28.